All right, it is time for some classics. So I love this book so much. I know it sounds pretentious, but I genuinely really like reading F. Scott Fitzgerald. And there are a few of his books that I will read and reread constantly. Not constantly, but like more often than others. One of those is To Nurse the Night. The other is Beautiful and the Damned. I love those books. They are super bleak. Still really good book. You know, if you're in the mood for like bleak tragedy, which, you know, sometimes you are. Even though I will reread those occasionally, I have not actually reread The Great Gatsby since I was in high school. Do I need to give a summary of The Great Gatsby? I don't know. I feel like everybody knows how it goes, but just in case, here's a like quick high-level overview. Okay, so Great Gatsby, set in the 1920s. It's told by Nick Carraway, who is the narrator. He moves in to a summer house and his neighbor is Jay Gatsby. Gatsby is in love with Daisy Buchanan, who is Nick's cousin. Daisy is married to Tom Buchanan. So Gatsby then tries to win Daisy over by displaying like these opulent displays of wealth. And he throws these magnificent parties that gain him notoriety throughout the village of West Egg. And, you know, it's kind of like the thing of the summer to be seen at a Gatsby party. Then suddenly tragedy strikes and someone's killed. Gatsby takes the blame. And then tragedy strikes again. And then it's the end. I purposefully left that kind of vague. That's a high level, spoilerish free synopsis of The Great Gatsby. So Great Gatsby, you know, has really earned its place in like great American literature because it explores themes like the quote unquote American dream, well, the corruption of the upper classes, and also like the emptiness and loss of dreams that kind of permeated this era. It's a heavy book because of the themes that are discussed in it, but it also has like this ethereal quality to it. If people know a book by Fitzgerald, you know, typically it is this one. It's The Great Gatsby. Everybody knows The Great Gatsby. And there's a good reason for that. It's a pretty readable book to be as old as it is. It plays out like a soap drama right in front of your eyes and you can't look away. And I think that really pulls you in as a reader. Other than that, it's a fun romp to read about like these lives that are so different from most of our own. So first, I want to talk about some problems that I have with The Great Gatsby, and there are several. First among these is that Fitzgerald doesn't exactly do a good job of like writing women characters. Pretty much all of the women in this book are given like an unfair treatment, unrealistic portrayal that just illustrates them as being like very passive and shallow. Then there's also a distinct and, in my opinion, unrealistic lack of diversity in the book. So, you know, this book is set in the 1920s in New York, just right outside of New York City. Like they pop into New York City quite often in the book. So, you know, we have this like culturally rich, diverse city. And then we have all these characters that are just stuck in like an overwhelmingly upper class white setting, which maybe that's realistic to these characters and how they would have been in real life, but it also seems like a missed opportunity and definitely a problem with the book. And then finally, you could definitely make the argument that a lot of the characters are like flat and one-dimensional. And I kind of already alluded to that when I was talking about how Fitzgerald writes female characters. A lot of the characters often lack empathy and they are often over-idealized, almost to the point of like being a caricature. There's not a whole lot of likable characters in this book, which is fine. You don't have to have likable characters in a book, in my opinion, for it to be good. But they are also not well-rounded characters in a sense either. And kind of more to that point, like those are, you know, some of the main problems with The Great Gatsby. But do those problems, you know, all culminate and add up to me not enjoying the book? Absolutely not. I love this book. That said, like, I enjoy the book for what it is. It's literally 200 pages of like crappy entitled people doing crappy entitled things without any consequence or regards to those around them and how it's going to affect them. And it's truly just like, it is like a soap opera to read this book. Yet we can't really look away. I mean, literally, like we cannot look away. Here we are almost 100 years later, and this book is still being read and taught in schools and made into films, and soon it's going to be made into a Broadway play. And, you know, we're still teaching and talking about this book for a reason 100 years later. And, you know, it's for reasons like the fact that like it's such a good examination of like what the American dream means to different people and how that changes, due to your life circumstances and as you get older. And it explores things like corruption and loss, but it's also, that like train wreck that you can't look away from until that train is completely off the tracks. And that's kind of exactly what happens with The Great Gatsby. We reread it and we find ourselves reading it, and it's just like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen, but you keep watching again and again and again because you can't help yourself. And, as I was reading this and thinking about that famous quote at the end where Gatsby says, "We beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past." And it stuck out to me in a way because that's kind of what we're doing, not in a way dissimilar to several of the characters in this book. We are completely disregarding the past and we know what's going to happen, but we can't look away. And to me, that is what makes this book such a classic and so good. Anyway, I've been Dixie. Thanks for watching. I'd love to know what you think about The Great Gatsby. If you've read it, if you somehow haven't read it, if you like it, if you hate it, and maybe some other classics that you love. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.